Welcome to the May 9th, 2023 City of Broussard Council meeting. Please remember to adjust your microphones and speak into them so you can be heard clearly on our broadcast for the viewers at home. If anyone from the audience would like to make a comment on an item listed on the agenda, please fill out a blue card and turn it into our city clerk or Susie, and we'll bring it in and list the item you'd like to speak on, please. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes. We know we have a lot of blue cards, so we're going to try to respect people's time. Please rise for the pledge. I'd like to welcome Pastor Marty Daracel with Our Savior's Church of Broussard to lead us into prayer. Welcome, Pastor.
Would you all bow your heads and join me in prayer? Heavenly Father, first I want to start by thanking you on behalf of everyone gathered here today. Thank you for the many blessings that you give us. Thank you for the gift of life itself, and thank you for the ability to be involved in something so meaningful as community. Most importantly, I want to thank you for loving us from your boundless heart and your gracious nature. In Scripture, you have said that every citizen is to be subject to the governing authorities and obey. And you choose who it is that is in a place of authority. And they are in that authority, Lord, to provide order, to provide peace, and to provide justice. Therefore, right now, Father, I pray for our mayor, I pray for our city officials, and for this assembled council. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense for the welfare and true needs of our people, a thirst for justice and righteousness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony, especially in times of honest disagreement. And I pray for personal peace in their lives and joy in everything they put their hands through. I pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give them an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Broussard. And we pray all of this in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the all-abiding Holy Spirit. Amen.
Item 2.1, acceptance of the minutes of the April 25th, 2023 meeting. Do we have a motion to accept?
Motion.
Second.
The minutes were supplied in the council's packet. Tina, do we have public comment?
No public comments.
Council discussion?
Question. District 1? Yes. District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
District 4?
Yes.
District 5?
Yes.
District 6?
Yay.
At large? Motion approved.
Item 3.1, Quintan Lee and Amy Dim Lee, condemnation of 219 Leon Street, building containing units 3 and 4, parcel number 6014177. Do we have a motion to condemn?
Move.
Second.
So our presenter tonight is our building inspector, Mr. Rodney Richard, and also our code enforcement employee, Ben Terrio. Is Rodney Richard here tonight?
Rodney cannot make it tonight, so.
Okay, so
I'll be
you're
handling it.
presenting to the council. Thank you,
Yes,
Ben.
sir. Good evening. So this building was brought up for condemnation. The fire inspector went by to make a regular inspection, noticed that it was in disrepair, contacted us. Mr. Rodney Richard made an inspection, got some pictures in y'all's report. Correct. So it is in pretty bad shape. I did speak with Mr. Rodney today. He said that some of the issues are electrical. It's going to require major electrical work. The roof is bad. There is window units. All the central units need to be fixed. The window units do not dry out the house enough. There's some mildew, some mold. And the window units also stop egress. So that's the safety aspect of being able to get out of the house, in those bedrooms for the fire. His recommendation, according to the report, was to condemn and demolish. Mr. Lee, the owner of the building, is actually here tonight to address.
219 Leon Street. Now, this apartment, two apartments, one of them just got moved out, and they did a lot of destruction to the apartments. That's why I see all that hose and stuff like that. I did not get a chance to go in and address all the problems. But those are all easily fixed. I can fix all that. And as far as the roof, we have somebody that's coming out to put a new roof on it. We are low-income apartments, so I don't recommend it to be demolished. Give me a chance to fix it up so we can have those units for the low-income families.
Mr. Lee, the repairs that were stated in this report are being stated as more severe than what you're saying now, and they would need to be repaired by licensed professionals. And in the council's packet, I'd like to read the recommendation of our building inspector. Pursuant to my appointment as inspector of the properties for potential condemnation and demolition, I made a personal inspection of the property stated above on March 22nd, 2023, and having received a number of complaints from citizens of the city of Broussard community, this property is in need of major repair and has been found to be dilapidated and in dangerous condition, which endangers the public welfare. Based on these observations, I recommend that this property be condemned and demolished. So this is our building inspector's report, who's licensed by the state to do this kind of work. It is this council's decision on how they'd like to proceed, but I don't want the severity of the condition of the property to be understated. We have the report we're looking at.
Yes.
These are major repairs that have to be
I
done.
understand that it need major repair, especially the roof. So I have a roofing professional gonna come out and replace the roof. As far as the interior or the hose that damaged, those are sheetrock repair. So those are not major repairs. As far as electrical, those electrical that he looked up, those are just without when the tenant move in, they destroy all the fixtures. So we just need to put new fixture on that. And as far as you're looking at the washers with rust of that, those were like that. I can have somebody come out and fix that. So I don't think that need to be, the building need to be demolished because of that problem.
I know that each council member here has a copy of this report, and if you just read through some of it, I mean, it states electrical hazard, it states a lot of things that are fairly severe.
Looking at the pictures, it's more severe than I think you're seeing.
I know it
Electrical-
is severe.
So let me
and-
talk, and you can speak, please. So what I'm getting at is, are you willing to basically cut this and restart over with just basically bring it down to the studs? Because you got electrical issues, you got old panels for your service, air conditions that are window units, your facials are rotten, your door frames are rotten. You got holes everywhere, you got manure, it looks like somebody, dog or something lived in one of them. They got, mess on
Yes,
the.
those are all
just-
clean out. Can I
There's not a light fixture in it, your plumbing,
just
your
the air
washing
conditioning?
machine hookups, you don't,
given a chance to respond.
your sink has no faucets to wash the, dishes. Even if you had your washing machine's in the middle of the room, the dryer, your hot water tank. I think it's more in depth than just, a bondo, mud on the wall and, the roof. You can start off with the roof to stop the damages, but I really think if we were to allow you to fix, we give you, to me, I'll give you 30 days to get a licensed contractor to go in and basically gut it and give you a cost, because I really think it's more than you to get it back to code. I just don't see going and patching sheetrocks is not gonna do it. Plumbing, your facial, I mean, I went right by today, and, actually, we had this issue a while back with another, homeowner that landowner that rents. And basically, in a nutshell, what he did, he just let it go. And at this point, when came here, everybody wants to fix it. So what I saw today, if it needs to be all torn down, because none of it's happened. It's horrible, and it's in the middle of our city. So if you're willing to reinvest into this property, I know it's low income, but it's not fixing sheetrock. It's gonna have to be some serious investment reinvested into it to get it livable.
Yes,
And question is, are you willing to spend that kind of money and do it?
Well, I am willing to invest to get that property, to get a building up, because I'm planning to sell it to another investor who's more with deeper pockets, so they can come in and make the apartment better for the resident there. So
How far are you along with this new investor? Where y'all talks are? Y'all
we're
signing
talking, he's
paper?
coming out, he's an investor from New Orleans. He's come out this Friday to look at the property.
Mr. Lee,
Is he just gonna look at the ones that we're bringing up, or is he gonna look
No.
at the whole property
The whole property,
altogether?
yes.
How long has it apartments been vacant?
I believe it about 3 months.
Mr. Lean, what the recommendation of our building inspector is, at minimum, I mean, he's recommended condemnation and demolition, because I know how he looks at this. If the repairs are estimated to be more expensive than the value of the building, then it's past the point of no return. It'd be cheaper to build a new building. But at a minimum, it would be that it brought up to current codes, which is gonna be a challenge for this property, just by the looks of it, and all the things I've read. And I mean, we're talking about unfit for humans to live there, these kind of things, rodents. I mean, problems top to bottom. So I just want to be clear about that when you're describing trying to fix it. This is going to be a licensed contractor, 100% redo of the property, bringing it back up, top to bottom to current standards.
Well,
One thing I did talk to Mr. Rodney about, if the council deemed to give him a little bit of time, he said his recommendation would be, it would have to be brought up to 2021 standards, which are the new standards. And, plans would have to be submitted for review, and the building would need to be boarded up until the licensed contractor had an approved set of plans, to get in there and start doing the work. But he doesn't want any openings so that people can get in there and do anything else, any vagrants or anything like that.
Well,
So
and
that
that's,
was- that
I
was
think
his
that's reasonable.
recommendation.
If you're stating for the council tonight that you are willing to go through the exercise of hiring a licensed contractor to get an estimate on bringing the entire building up to current building standards, then I agree with our building inspector's recommendation that it would be boarded up until that time. You would bring a proof of hiring a contractor within whatever time the council, 30 days or whatnot, whatever they feel comfortable with. And if you do not perform within that timeline, then condemnation would move forward. Unless someone on the council has a different suggestion or would like to handle it differently, this will be brought to the council vote tonight.
Yeah, listen, I've driven through there and I've walked through there quite a few times over the past couple months, and it's not gonna be just these buildings to the left. We're gonna revisit this about every building that he has basically on that property at a certain point in time, and I applaud you for wanting to fix it, I do, but it's been this way since at least September, October, November, and nobody's done anything about it. And the problem it poses is you have homeless people walking through there, and you have, it's just uninhabitable, even for homeless people. I hate to say it that way, but it is. So I do think we're gonna be talking about all the other buildings at a certain point. So whatever we do tonight with these buildings to the left, it's gonna set a precedent for how we move forward with the other ones. So please keep in mind, this is a big apartment complex. It's not just 5 apartments. This is what, 40? 40 units. So we're talking about 2 right now. 3 months from now, we're gonna be talking about 8. And then we're displacing people. These are empty right now. Some of them actually have people living in them. So at what point do we kind of say, okay, as they come, okay?
Mr. Lee, you said it's been empty for 3 months. We've never given anybody 90 days to work on their building. What, we've given them 30 days to get things rolling? Why you waited 90 days before you get the city to make a argument about it? Why haven't you started working on them before?
From the beginning, whenever they move out, they made such a big destruction to it. It's kind of down, so I didn't want to work on it until I have a lot of time to work on it.
How long have those buildings been empty? It's been longer than 90 days.
Some of the apartments are empty. Just need a little work for it to be up and rented out. But so apartments is sort of very low income. I mean,
I understand it's low income, but I mean,
Every person deserves to live in a property that is well-maintained and clean.
yes,
Whether they're low income or not. And
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is, by the time a property comes to this state where the city is considering condemning it, things are pretty bad and they've been neglected and they haven't been handled responsibly. I mean, we would never get to this point with somebody who's actually putting money into their apartment complex or rental home or whatever it is.
give me time, so let me talk with this investor from New Orleans this Friday and see how it goes. And then, give me 30 days, so I can get with the investor first and see if we can get that building up or gut it down and redo that building.
Okay, y'all agree 30 days to?
Did you?
What are you
I have
gonna
a
do in
question.
those 30 days?
Did you decide to sell it or to seek an investor outside because you were contacted by the city that we were gonna condemn and demolish?
No, I don't have the funds to maintain the properties.
So
My
once you,
rent-
once you heard from the city is when you
Yeah, my rent.
tried to
come in-
contact an
My rent
investor
come in
to
is less
fix
than
it?
my mortgage, so I don't have any money to reinvest back into the property.
So what you're saying is if you don't make the sale, there's nothing you can do. You couldn't hire
I can,
licensed contractor to go in and make repairs.
I probably will have to take out a second mortgage on the property to get a bidding up.
So to put things in perspective, there's 40 units, 20 of them are vacant. So, I mean, I do understand that it is low income, but if those 20 other units were habitable and people lived in them, he would have the income he'd need. But no, everything's just kind of rolling downhill.
I would be willing to extend for 30 days as long as we board it up within 5. And then within 30 days, we want a signed contract by your investor for us to review. And at that time, we'll make a decision on whether or not to condemn. That would be my recommendation.
I agree.
Councilman, would you consider adding, a signed agreement to sell, or you have a licensed contractor to
Correct.
do repairs and the city will review the contract? One way or another, the property gets fixed or it gets demolished if you can't complete that within 30 days.
Correct. But if he said he's going to have to take out a second mortgage, that's going to take time. Appraisal, title, loan qualification. So I would say within 30 days, either we get a signed purchase agreement from the investor or a letter from the bank stating that you are approved for the loan to do the repairs. But let me go back to stating that it needs to be boarded up within 5 business days, or 5 calendar days for that matter.
Gerald, as our legal advisor, would you like to comment?
Yes, is the plan, I'm trying to understand, that there will be no vote on condemnation tonight? You put that off till the next meeting, and in the meantime,
With the
look for
conditions.
these things?
Yes,
2 meetings?
yes, sir.
Okay. Just to understand.
Gerald, if Mr. Lee does not voluntarily board up all doors and windows on this particular building, will the city have the right to go in and hire a contractor, hire a carpenter to board it up for him if he agrees to that tonight?
Well, if there's an agreement made, and I'm not sure that we can make an agreement in this meeting. I mean, one option would be to condemn and then suspend the order of condemnation for 30 days while these things take place, and leave it up to the codes and to the building inspector to determine whether your conditions have been met. If they have been met, the order of condemnation would remain suspended. If they have not been met, then the order of condemnation will be executed.
Perfect. So we need to take vote on the condemnation with this.
Right, with the proviso that it will be suspended for 30 days pending compliance with the requirements of the council.
We have a motion by Councilman Reagan. Do we have a second?
Second.
No public comments? Question?
Question.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 6,
Yay.
at large,
Yay.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
motion carries.
Mr. Lee, you do understand the conditions of the council's vote
Yeah,
tonight,
yes, I
correct?
understand. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Item 3.2, council determination of emergency access only gate on Deer Meadow Boulevard. Do we have a motion to approve? We are approving taking the item up as a.
Second.
So I know we have blue cards. We have a lot of blue cards. Okay, so just for a little bit of clarification, I know we have a lot of people in the meeting tonight and we have opinions on both sides of this matter, and thank you for all taking the time to be here and expressing your opinion. Many of the cards are from residents who just want to give their opinion but do not want to address the council. I'll just read the name and their opinion. Then we'll have a stack of cards after that of residents who would like to address the council, and we'll just go in the order that they were turned in. A little bit of background just to make sure that that I can do my best to dispel any rumors or misinformation. What we're talking about is an emergency access only gate that it exists and has existed on Deer Meadow Boulevard since the time that Page Place subdivision was accepted as a city, as a subdivision. The gate is platted. It is part of the plat for Page Place subdivision. At the time, what was going on in that meeting when the council or when the zoning planning board did accept it as part of the subdivision ordinance was that there were several entrances being proposed into Page Place subdivision through Deer Meadow. The residents of Deer Meadow appeared at that meeting. They were unhappy that there were so many entrances. And there was a very long meeting about compromise and where should it be. Someone proposed that it would be one entrance only on Marteau, which is currently the main entrance into the subdivision. And our police department and our fire department did not recommend that would be done because there needed to be 2 entrances for emergency access for any emergency that might come up. The board at that time accepted that, and somehow the conversation turned into what we have today, that a 3rd entrance to be used only as emergency access would be even better than having 2 entrances. And that is sort of the history as I understand it on how we got here today. So it was accepted as a subdivision with these parameters that can be left the same or changed by the council that is here tonight. They are the lawmaking body of the city and they have the authority to make decisions. And I know many of you have talked to council people here tonight. You've talked to me and, we welcome the conversation. That's how the best decisions are made. So I just wanted to give a little bit of background for anybody who's kind of catching up to that, to the best of my ability. But I will go through and I'll ask anybody who does come up and speak tonight, please address the council. This is public comment. These are comments addressed to the council. It's not a conversation. It's not a back and forth. It's not a group. It's just come up and make your point to the council. They will take it up for discussion, and public vote potentially once all of that is complete. We're going to use the timer. Every speaker will be given 3 minutes. Hopefully the timer works as we predict it will work. But first off, we have Amy Collignan, who is in support of taking down the gate. Mr. Stephen Colligan, who is in support of taking down the gate. Michael Hogan, I believe. Please remove the gate. Lauren Quinlan, I support taking the gate down. Gate removal in support is Miss Alice Vivi, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, Vivino. Remove the gate. Adam Franklin supports take the gate down with an exclamation point. Hideko, I might be saying that wrong, Bork, I support removal of the gate. Stephanie McNeese, emergency gate, she's in opposition of the emergency gate. So take the gate down, I believe is that recommendation. Correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you. Take it down, take the gate down. You leave it up. You oppose taking the gate down. Thank you. I'm sorry. It wasn't. Okay, that's fine. Ronald Babin Jr., Page Place gate opening. He is in support of opening the gate. Ali Andrade, I oppose removal of the gate. Oppose removal, Miss Julie Abshire. Jennifer Falcon, I oppose the opening of gate between Page Place and Deer Meadow. Jeremy and Stacy Meters oppose the removal of the gate on Deer Meadow Boulevard. Mr. Blake Roberts, I support removal of the gate. Jeremy Louvier, I support removal of the gate. Larry Dorian, I support gate removal. Brenda Day, thank you. I support, it just says gate. Is that a removal of the gate or leaving the gate up? Removal, thank you. I oppose gate on Deer Meadow. Lily Johnson? You oppose the gate being up, Miss Lily, it looks like. Page Place gate removal, I support removal of the gate. Randall Como. Crystal Paley? Thank you, sorry about that. I would like the gate down. Thad Battle, emergency access only, do not remove the gate. Tyler Summerlin, I support removal of the gate. Rob Rydell, oppose the permanent opening of the gate because of traffic. Kevin LaRue, I support take the gate down. Melissa Barbier, I'm against it open. Mom of 6 kids, do not want it open, Page Place resident. Did I say that right? I did. Brittany Summerlin, I would like the gate removed. Miss Como, Philia Como? Philia, thank you. The removal of the gate, Page Place gate to be removed. So that was a lot of cards, thank you. All that supported them. So I have no particular order for these cards. These are all to address the council. First up, I have Miss April Terrio. She wishes to address the council. April?
My name is April Terrio, and I live in Phase 3 of Page Place. I know that many of you know my family and know my daughters, but what you may not know is that Sophie is epileptic, which is one of the main reasons that I am here in favor of the gate coming down. She has had seizures where she has stopped breathing completely, and we have had to put her in our car and rush her across town to the emergency room because there was not even enough time to wait for an ambulance. If that happens, and there's any sort of obstruction on Brianna Road past Page Place Avenue, I have no way to get her out of the neighborhood and to the hospital. Please see the map provided. Even if Brianna is not blocked, I still have to waste valuable time by going all the way around through Page Place and Deer Meadows rather than just being able to go out on Deer Meadows Boulevard. She has also had seizures where she was shaking so badly that there was no way for me to safely buckle her into my vehicle, and we had to have her picked up by ambulance. With the current situation of the gate, an ambulance would have to waste an insane amount of time getting through the gate in order to get to us. Even if the gate worked with 100% perfection, the paramedic would still have to stop at the gate, get out, put the code into the lock, remove the lock, open the gate, get back into his vehicle, and begin driving again before he could even head to us. This is a waste of extremely valuable time. During a seizure, every second matters because every second means that is oxygen not getting to her brain and could cause lifelong damage or even worse. I have witnessed firsthand an ambulance stop at the gate, spend several minutes trying to get through a gate that would not open, and get back in his unit and leave to find another way to get to the person that was in a medical crisis. We have left the hospital after being discharged from a seizure, only to have to turn around and go right back because she was having another one and was turning blue and foaming at the mouth. If this happens at home, that gate could literally be a matter of life and death for my child. The same could be said for any medical emergency had by any of the other 162 families that only have one street out of our neighborhood. Also, as you can see, I have supplied you with pictures of people who live at the gate, using the road as their public parking lot and blocking the gate, which would cause added issues if an emergency vehicle were to try and come through. I have also provided a picture of kids climbing the fence to come in and out from Deer Meadows. Because of this and the damage that it causes the gate, it will require constant maintenance, which has not been done thus far. So I would like to know who is responsible for the upkeep since it is across a public street. With that being said, I would also like to know who is going to be liable when there is a tragedy in our neighborhood because a fire truck or ambulance can't get in time. Because the situation that we are currently in, it's a matter of when it happens, not if it happens. When you go to vote on this item, please ask yourself, what makes the lives of the few families that don't want additional traffic in front of their homes more important than the lives of the 163 families that are completely compromised in an emergency situation because of this gate being up? Thank you for your time.
April. Next up is Mr. Ryan Lagrange. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you. Well, not much more to say than that. I have two family members that live in Page Place, about 3 blocks from our house. We moved them closer to be closer to our family. And what would be 3-block travel is about 3/4 of a mile and 6 stop signs to get there and check on them. But Ms. Terrio said it best. The concern is they're elderly, 70s, one's in her 70s, one in her 90s. And of course, it is a big concern, not only convenience, but also safety. So that's all I have.
Lauren Louvier. We can pass them down, Lauren. We can just give them to us. So we'll do that. So maybe we can make a small change. If there is any paperwork to be handed to the council, Susan, if you wouldn't mind helping us, you could take it and then distribute it. Thank you. Welcome, Lauren.
Hi, good evening, council. Thank you for meeting with all of us here tonight. My name is Lauren Louvier. I am a resident of Page Place neighborhood. I live there with my husband, Jeremy Louvier. We live in Phase 2, and we are here tonight because we are in support of removing the gate. There are many views on both sides of why people want the gate to stay up or come down. Many of the residents of Deer Meadow fear there will be increased traffic, which they feel could pose as increased safety risks to their families. I feel like these fears are very real. These are the same fears our neighbors on Brianna have been living every day due to the 175 homes who only have one exit down their street. Keeping the gate closed for this reason, in my opinion, is saying that the lives of the families that live on Deer Meadow matter more than the lives of all of us that live in Phase 2 and 3. At the end of this, someone is going to be upset with the decision you make tonight because I feel like there is no perfect solution to this. What I ask is that you hear the facts and make a decision that is best for the majority of us. I have some facts that I would like to share with y'all about our neighborhood that's on the copies that I handed to you. Deer Meadow has 130 homes and 4 exit points. Cypress Crossing has 173 homes and 4 exit points. Page Place has 205 homes and only 2 exit points, with 175 of those homes having only 1 exit point. These are the facts. I feel like we are not comparing apples to apples here. The increased safety risks are much higher for the residents of Page Place than it is for Deer Meadow. In the event the 1 exit point that Phases 2 and 3 residents have is blocked, you will have 175 homes with no way out and no way in for emergencies. I realize that these are a lot of what ifs, but these can quickly become a tragic reality. My dad always told me growing up, you can't fix what you don't know. We should always learn from our mistakes and strive to do better. So I leave you with this thought. Now you do know, how are you going to fix it? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lauren. Ruth Moore.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for allowing us to discuss the topic this evening. My family and I also live in Page Place in Phase 1 on Brianna Lane before the intersection that you'll see on your map with Brianna Lane and Page Place Avenue. In consideration for the gate being removed, my concerns are emergency related, specifically medical. I have not personally experienced this, as April Terrio had mentioned earlier. However, because I do not live in Phase 2 or Phase 3. I live in Phase 1, as I mentioned earlier, on Brianna Lane, 4 homes from Page Place Avenue and Brianna Lane intersection. To my knowledge, on multiple occasions, an ambulance has received a route guidance. I'm not aware of the EMS navigation system they currently use. However, the ambulance was led down Deer Meadow Boulevard from Deer Meadow neighborhood. Precious timely care was rendered. However, care could have been rendered sooner if the gate had been removed. In regard to additional city services such as fire department, in the event of a serious fire where life is at risk, the gate again is a hindrance as it blocks public road access unbeknownst to the inbound fire trucks, similar to what has happened with our ambulance services. Excuse my voice. We also have over 160 families in Page Place subdivision between Phase 2 and Phase 3. Brianna Lane is the only egress for our neighbors to leave Phase 2, Phase 3, and neighbors on a portion of Brianna Lane until they get to Brianna Lane and Page Place intersection. If there were an emergency, for example, a wreck, a homeowner's maybe gas leak, sounds odd, but fire, Brianna Lane is the only way of departure before Page Lane Avenue intersection. I again submit for your approval the removal of the gate located on Deer Meadow Boulevard. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ruth. Mr. David Richard.
Good evening, Council. David Richard, 507 Deer Meadow Boulevard. So my wife and I have been in this neighborhood for the better part of 19 years. We've been fighting this fight with this development that Cliff Gidry put into place for the better part of 8 years. It's been a struggle, and I think most people have come to realize here recently that the current council and maybe even the city has no intention on fulfilling the obligation that the developer had to complete this emergency access gate, which is supposed to be electronically controlled. So if that's going to be ignored, I would request that the city just apply for some type of abandonment to the property, because we have property owners back there who are willing to take possession of the gate and the property, and we'll move forward that way. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Pamela Richard.
Hi, guys. Pam Richard. I have copies of the gate, the padlock, the preliminary construction on the electronic device that was supposed to be installed at the gate. And so what I'm doing here tonight is asking all of you, the council, to reconsider not voting to move the gate and voting to keep the gate up operational, or to bring it back to the table another day after hearing our pleas this evening on why the gate should remain in place. Tonight, I have over 100 petitions. Several of us walked the neighborhood this weekend and gathered these signatures because we just found out about tonight's meeting the day it came on the agenda. So we had to work diligently over the weekend to get these signatures because we were not given prior notification that this meeting was going to happen tonight, and this was coming up again since the 2015 meeting, that it was supposed to be a shut case. Y'all can refer to the minutes from the 2015 council meeting and also the legal recommendation that Mr. Don Landry gave regarding the situation. So, why is it coming up again? Why is it being resurrected tonight after it originally being supposed to have made a decision since 2015? Is it because of safety? If it's because of safety, you can clearly see from the pictures there's a code on the gate that's got the lock that we were able to open it last night in a matter of 2 seconds. Talking to another resident on the other side of the gate, she witnessed it. It was opened in a matter of seconds. So, is it because of safety? Or is it clearly for the convenience of the residents in Page Place to access Deer Meadow Boulevard to Fairfield? Because neighborhoods are not designed the way Deer Meadow Village is. It's a straight road. We're already dealing with several residents speeding through our neighborhood coming from Doe Lane out of Page Place, and also the 2 feeder connections from Cypress Crossing. Why? Because it's very convenient for them to leave their neighborhoods into ours to access Fairfield. It's so easy. So take that into consideration. We would love for you guys to make a decision tonight in regards to keeping the gate up, or making a decision to table it, to do further studies on the amount of traffic. Yes, someone mentioned earlier.
Miss Pam, please,
Okay.
if you could finish your thought. Your time
Okay,
is
so
up.
once again, thanks for your consideration, and we would love to keep the gate up for emergency access only. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Al Falcon? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Yes.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and City Council and rest of the city officials. My name is Al Falcon and I reside at 600 Deer Meadow Boulevard. I am here this evening to state my opposition to the removal of the gate which separates Deer Meadow and Page Place subdivisions. My understanding is that the main concern for the removal of the gate is safety related. While I understand the concern of Page Place residents needing to ensure accessibility for safety reasons, I too have concerns of my own. I am located approximately 50 feet from the gate. At present, there is at most 12 homes which cause traffic in front of my house. Assuming 2 vehicles per household, 1 trip to work, 1 returning, not counting trips to the store or anything else, that's about 48 cars that pass my house every day. From a rough study and viewed aerial maps, one can calculate that there are 100 to 125 houses in Page Place that would access their homes using Deer Meadow Boulevard if this is open. That being said, and using the aforementioned calculations, one can assume that an additional 400 to 500 cars will pass in front of my house using it as a pass-through. As their safety concerns may have validity, and our safety concerns for our children, grandchildren, dog walkers, bicycle riders is also valid, as our neighborhood is older and does not possess sidewalks. Anyone needing accessibility must use the street for these purposes. We as a community believe that both of our safety concerns can be met by having the original plan of an automatic gate open when a first responder reacts to a call. That is the original plan that was viewed in the documented paperwork and voted on and accepted by the council when the neighborhood was built. The original plan also did not include a road, but an easement for emergency purposes only. Cliff put a road there instead of what was accepted by the council. The foundation for this to happen is in place, and it was all installed during the beginning of the development and witnessed by Mr. David Richard. We are looking at a few $1,000s to make the gate operable like it was intended. However, if we are talking true safety, then maybe we need to put sidewalks all the way up and down every one of the 1.5 miles of Deer Meadow Boulevard roads at a cost of just concrete, approximately $200,000 to $250,000, not including culverts and dirt to cover the front because those are exposed ditches. In closing, let me ask that if safety is the true concern of all residents, then this situation would better be served and remedied by leaving the gate up and making it completely automatic, whether it is by a keypad or the new technology where a siren can be picked up by a piece of technology and open the gate all on its own. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Falcon. Next is, Gia Andrade? Is that, I know I'm not saying that right. Thank you. I'm sorry. It's hard to read.
Good evening,
Welcome.
council members. My name is Guy Andrade. I'm a resident of 408 Deer Meadow. I am in opposition of this gate, not because I want to stop traffic and stop safety for the people that are concerned in Page Place. We're all about giving them access to emergency care. There has been a mistake during that building process and promises will not deliver to the current residents at Page Place. This is not the first subdivision that has a gate. This is not the first subdivision that has a functioning or malfunctioning gate. This city has many other places that have perfectly fine functioning gates that emergency services can access. I see why not Deer Meadow can also have it. We can have this emergency opening happen at the beginning of the boulevard. By the time they get to the bottom of the boulevard, those gates will be open for emergency purposes. All we ask tonight is that you give consideration not to make a hasty decision tonight and further table this for a further vote so we can at least study and look at all the possibilities. The additional traffic coming through the subdivision is definitely a concern, as I am a father, and I feel for the parents of their children in Page Place that may think they have neglected access to emergency services. I want all of what's best for our children and for our neighbors. I'm a good neighbor. I want to protect those that are around me. I want to hold the value of my subdivision. And again, we want to keep the safety of all residents and imply that we do not want to stop emergency services. We just don't think that by opening that gate right away as a hasty decision will make it any better or any worse for either side of the gate. But it will come at additional costs and inconveniences for everyone, including the city of Broussard. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Fine?
Good evening. I have relevant experience. Around a year and a half ago, I live in Page Place, by the way. Around a year and a half ago, I was walking with my daughter while she was riding her tricycle. And as we rounded a corner, I had somebody calling out to me, trying to flag me down. And it was somebody on the Deer Meadow side of the gate. So I walked over to her, and it was a nurse that was trying to respond to an emergency situation. And her GPS routed her to the gate, and she couldn't figure out how to get it open or get around it, because it's not exactly a straightforward way to get into the neighborhood from that position. So I had her pull up the maps on her phone and I helped her navigate through it. And after I left, she did make it to the house. You know, it was quite a few minutes later, and as well as there was an ambulance there. But it is currently, it does block emergency vehicle access. That's all. Thank you.
Christina Weiss. Ms. Weiss here? Maybe outside? Okay, thank you. Talila Babin? Tequila Babin, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tequila Babin. I live in Page Place, part of Phase 2 and Phase 3. February 2018, a family member had just given birth days prior when suddenly she started bleeding everywhere. It was a truly horrific sight. She lived in the country. The hospital was a ways away, so she had to be rushed by personal vehicle. The immediate thought of her husband was getting her help as quick as possible. He thought of the shortest ways and took them before coincidentally meeting up with the ambulance on Pinnock Road. She was brought the rest of the way to the hospital via ambulance and straight into surgery. The doctor said if it had been a few more minutes, she would have died. I was only a few months old when I caught a seizure. My dad rushed me to the hospital as quick as he could, of course taking the shortest way possible. When having to go to the hospital in an emergency, that's the thing you're thinking about. What a travesty it is when a route that could save you even 1 minute is blocked. In an emergency, when oftentimes every second counts. I don't personally know anybody who lives on Brianna or any of the other streets toward the front of the neighborhood. I do know there are a lot of younger kids that are often riding their bikes, skating, playing in the driveway with their friends, walking across the street to meet other kids. I see it all the time driving through. There's no doubt that the street gets a lot of traffic. Unfortunately, it's the only way out of the subdivision from the back. As a resident of Page Place, I truly care about the well-being of all of the children, not only in our neighborhood, but Deer Meadow as well. If there's one side carrying all of this weight and an opportunity exists that can alleviate the pressure being put on that one side, it only makes sense to me. I feel responsible to help. Kids from both subdivisions matter. I don't live near the gate or in the front. I'm a believer in the second commandment calls for me to love my neighbor as myself. You mean I'm called to love all of the people behind me like I love myself. That's huge. That's challenging for some, especially in a world that's often only for what benefits them. I read something tonight when deciding on what to say. The willingness to see through each other's eyes will transform corrupt communication into ministering grace. It may not change or solve the problem, but the more important possibility may be whether ministering grace could change us. Are we willing and able to step back, put our opinions, preference, and biases aside, and honestly see what is right, even if that means it changes what we want to happen? Thank you.
Ashley Bell Davis.
First, I wanted to thank the mayor, council members, and all the public officials who have offered their time and service. As a homeowner and resident of District Number 5 in the rear portion of Page Place, Phase 3, I'm in favor of removing the gates. I'm a business owner operating out of my home in Broussard, and as a registered architect in Louisiana and Texas, the main duty of my profession is to protect the public's health, safety, and welfare. Just like you in my field, I'm familiar with reading and following ordinances, and I would like to bring to your attention an excerpt from the Broussard, Louisiana Code of Ordinances, which the gate is not in compliance. In Chapter 46, Planning, under Article 2, Subdivision Regulations, Section 48, Design Standards, Item 2, Public Streets. Under A, the general arrangement and layout, the public street system pattern proposed within any subdivision plat or development should be based on the following design concepts. 1, provide for an adequate vehicular access to all properties within the subdivision plat boundaries. 2, provide an adequate street connection to adjacent properties to ensure adequate traffic circulation within the general area. 3, provide a local street system serving properties to be developed for residential purposes which discourages traffic through while maintaining sufficient access and traffic movement for convenient circulation within the subdivision and access by fire, police, and other emergency services. This provision will usually require 2 or more accesses to the subdivision, depending on its size and other considerations such as topography. 4, provide sufficient number of continuous streets and major thoroughfares, particularly in those areas designed for the development of high-density multifamily residential, commercial, and industrial land uses to accommodate the increased traffic demands generated by the land uses. Also under item 2, public streets, F, dead-end streets. A dead-end street will not be approved except in those instances where the street is terminated by a circular cul-de-sac turnaround, where the street is designed to be extended into adjacent property. To summarize, the rear of the neighborhood in phase 3 and 2 only has one access, and the dead end created by the gate is not terminated by a cul-de-sac. If this was proposed as a new neighborhood, it would not comply with the current ordinance. So because of this, I'm in favor and in support of removing the gate, agenda item number 3.2. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. Carrie LaBeouf.
Good evening. I am a resident of the Deer Meadow subdivision, and I'll probably be the only one to vote to take the fence down. I work for Broussard Fire Department and Acadian Ambulance, and I have experienced firsthand that it does cause a delay in patient response because we do not have access to the gate code. And if it is there, we have tried multiple times and we are unable to get through. And we've experienced firsthand where the fire department will make it on scene to the emergency. And Acadian's CAD system, it does take you down Deer Meadow because it's the quickest access point to that neighborhood. So they'll end up at the gate and do not have access to it. And a lot of times we'll have to pull a member from the fire department to go and meet them to show them how to get around it to meet us at the emergency scene. So I just ask that if y'all would like to leave the gate in place, that y'all make it to where, like they said, either it is automatic or that it's general knowledge to both emergency services what the code is to where we can actually have access to that neighborhood. Thank you.
Sorry, Andrea Polk?
Andrew Pond.
Thank you. Some of the handwritings are tough to read. I apologize.
All right. Good evening, council. Andrew Pye, I live in the Page Place subdivision on Brianna Street. The first thing that I'd like to point out is that while our subdivision in Page Place does have the 2 entrances and exits, the way that it's designed is kind of defeats the purpose of having 2, because you have an entrance and an exit on one part of the subdivision, and then you have the massive part of the subdivision that's all these people over here. So they all have to drive to the other end to get to those 2 entrances and exits. In fact, there's only a few hundred feet between the 2 streets that take you to both of those exits. So while it takes me 1 mile, I do a lot of running in the neighborhood. I can run a whole mile around the subdivision before I get back to both of those side streets that gets me to an exit. So there's a lot of road. There's a lot of homes, as you've all heard, where individuals have to get through to get out of the subdivision. So being on Brianna, I want to give you some numbers. If you assume that every home has 2 cars, everyone goes to work once a day, comes home once a day, that's 700 plus cars that go in front of my house a day because of the gate on the other side. So while I think that if you were to open the gate, you'd probably get an even distribution because you have some folks going to Highway 90 and then you'd have some folks going to Lafayette. So I invite the council to think about how that distribution would look. I don't think it would be very one-sided. We have folks that go in both directions. So that's point number one. Point number two is safety. So like has been said a number of times here today, it's not an uncommon occurrence, and many of us have seen it. EMS gets stopped by the gate, have to find the way around. I myself saw this while running in a subdivision about 6 months ago. There was an emergency in Page Place. And as I was running around the corner, I saw an ambulance that was turning around. And then a few minutes later, that ambulance obviously had to make a round and get back into the Page Place subdivision the long way. And I drove it myself to see, like, is it really a big deal? Well, it takes more than a minute to do that round if you drive fast. So in the event of an emergency, every second counts. For example, with cardiac arrest, the survival rate decreases by 7 to 10% every minute without medical intervention. So just a subdivision the size of Page Place, you could expect, based on national averages, that 25 to 40 EMS calls per year are going to be made. So Murphy's Law states that if something can go wrong, it will, right? So do we expect that it's not going to strike during any type of emergency response? That's quite a lot per year, right? A lot of chance for something to go wrong. So the responders have to be if they're routed to the gate, they got to enter the code, they got to enter it right. They got to hope that the padlock that's on it's a small padlock. They got to hope that doesn't seize up on them.
Your time is up. If you could just please wrap up your final thought.
All right. So I urge you to consider these facts in consideration of taking the gate down. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Scott Butte.
Council. Very interesting points made. Very interesting. I see one common denominator in all the points that were made, and it's the failure of this body right here and not enacting the rules that were made back when the subdivision was agreed upon. And I have to wonder what kind of power Cliff Guidry held over this body by being allowed to design a subdivision that is, pinch points here, pinch points there, like he obviously had some sort of control that allowed him to put Page Place in place and set the gates up. So that was my observation up to this point. But good evening, my name's Scott Boutte. I'm a new resident of Deer Meadow Village, and I'm here to speak on behalf of my girlfriend Stephanie, who's original property owner of one of the homes in Deer Meadow. Here to oppose the removal of the gate. It was legally adopted at the time, and wanted to express my concern for us not being consulted on this major decision prior to this vote tonight. 8 years ago, during the development of Page Place, this body voted to provide Page Place with an optional third entry point as an additional measure for emergency vehicles accessing via Deer Meadow. It was a contingent upon the approval of Page Place. This body required an electric gate system that would provide emergency access when needed to the vehicles. This body required the land that gate sits on to remain under private ownership by Mr. Cliff Guidry in order to be compliant with all of the laws that were enacted at that point in time. Gate system was approved by the city's attorney, Mr. Don Landry, and it was added to the final Page Place plat map. So all of the Page Place residents, when they purchased their homes, they knew that gate was there. Okay, so safety is definitely a concern. I understand that, but they bought their properties knowing that was going to be an issue. Okay, the negligence of the city for not maintaining the gate properly, not installing it properly, would address all of the concerns that these people have on safety. So wanted to make sure that was understood. These contingencies were required by the city in order to grant Mr. Cliff Guidry approval on the subdivision. Gates were installed, electricity was wired to the gates, but Mr. Guidry did not complete the remainder of the system, leaving the gates to be opened manually when necessary. Mr. Guidry also failed to maintain private ownership of the connecting roadway as required by this body in order for Page Place to move forward. Unfortunately, and unknown to us until recently, all parties were negligent in their agreed upon responsibilities. So here we are again. This council agreed at the time that the optional third access for Page Place was adequate. Yet now that decision is being challenged for some reason without considering the safety of our subdivision. Page Place contains approximately 208 homes, most of which are working-class families, 2+ vehicles. By enjoining the two neighborhoods.
Mr. Scott, your time is up. Please wrap up your final thought.
Final thought is we would like to move forward with the proposal to abandon the land that the gates sit on to the neighboring property owners and make it a private roadway that the gates sit on. Thank you.
Rebecca Franklin.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for hearing me out. I am a wife and a mother of 3. When I first moved into Page Place, my first concern was the gate. We live in the Phase 3. We are at 804 Deer Meadow Boulevard. We can see the gate from the curvature of the street from where I'm at. My husband has a type 1 diabetic. He needs medical response immediately. My first concern when I asked Page Place people, will the gate come down? Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. So yes, we were aware the gate was there, but we were also notified that the gate was going to come down. Secondly, yes, there's 2 entrances into our Page Place, but one of those entrances is from Deer Meadow, not from another access point like Marteau. It's Doe Lane. Deer Meadow, Doe Lane, Brianna. So everybody that is in Deer Meadow to wherever, all the other subdivisions, they filter through and they come through the front part. That blocks us up too, because we're in Phase 3. I needed an ambulance 2 years ago. My husband had to sit there and watch the ambulance come to the gate, stop, and sit there for 5 minutes to have to call us to say, we don't know how to get to you. He had to talk them through how to get while trying to protect to me. My neighbor in November was 7 months pregnant, just walking down her driveway, tripped on her feet, landed smack on her stomach, 7 months pregnant. Took the ambulance 45 minutes to get to her because they kept having to go around in circles. They could not figure out how to get to us. There's a gate. That's all we kept hearing. There's a gate. There's a gate. We understand there's a gate. We cannot control the gate. I was a nurse for 7 years, pediatric neurology. I know what it means to have to get there as soon as possible. I'm not going to get down out of a vehicle to open a gate. I need to get to my patient immediately. Immediately. Not sit there and fumble with the gate and try and get back onto my GPS so I can figure out which house I need to get to. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Not only that, I went ahead, I decided not to be a nurse anymore. I stayed home with my children. I now work for Marshall B.O. I'm a substitute teacher there. You might know me. I'm a long-term sub if your children go there. I love all these babies.
Ms. Rebecca, your time is up. If you could finish your final thought.
I'm just asking to please, as a wife and as a mother that has watched this gate stop ambulances one after another, please take it down. I cannot lose my husband, nor my children. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Frank Laskowski?
Good evening, thank you for your time. I am a resident of Page Place Phase 2. We've heard a lot of things about being safety and about the needs and the wants of residents on both sides. What I heard was there's few houses on the Deer Meadow side that don't want the traffic, but there's a lot of residents on the Page Place that does. Just tallying up the scores from leaving it up versus taking down what you've read off the cards and people talking.
I've got about 29 takedowns and 11, 12 leave ups. If this is a decision on the needs of the few versus the needs of the many, I would go with the needs of the many. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Martin Sampson.
Hello, how are y'all? My name's Martin Sampson. I live in Phase 3 on Lillian. I'm a cardiac nurse, so I do know what it's like to be in an emergency situation. A lot of things have already been said before I filled out the card. I didn't know there was going to be this many people here. And things that I was going to say, people have already said already. But I am in favor of opening the gate just so we can have emergency response as quickly as possible. And I think if we have the means to do that, I think we should, because it's in the best interest of everyone that lives back there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Mr. Paul Dupree.
My name is Paul Dupre. I live on Stag's Leap Lane in Deer Meadow. This issue was brought up before. The person that designed Page Place did a very poor design. He only bought enough property to build houses. Clifford Guidry made about $150,000 per house. The gate was put up and it was agreed upon to have the gate controlled by a lock. The people that bought houses back in Page Place were aware of the gate. They were aware of the fence. And the people selling the houses told them that the gate is gonna come down. Now, we have no sidewalks in Deer Meadow. And I'm a disabled veteran, and the only exercise I get is walking. And many, many times I have had to jump out of the way of people coming out of Page Place. I did not know that you had the ability to show videos. I set up some game cameras on Doe Lane and videoing the people coming out of Page Place. About 75% of the people coming out of Page Place do not stop for stop signs. They don't yield right of way to nobody. They don't pay attention. They don't even slow down to read the stop sign, let alone read the speed limit sign. I believe that if we had sidewalks, that would make it more safe for our subdivision. When I bought a house there in '04, there was only one entrance and one entrance only. People, the neighbors were allowed to walk the streets. They had many people, many kids playing in the street. Now there's, somebody said 4 or 5 entrances that you can't walk the streets anymore. It's unsafe. If we had the current petition that's going around through Deer Meadow is to finish the electronics for the gate. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Mr. Toby Armitage.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you guys for taking up this subject. I know it's not an easy one, right? So as many said before, I live on Brianna. So my house, and obviously I think it's about 20 houses there, take the brunt of the traffic down Page Place or coming out from stage 3. There's 22 houses from the gate to Doe Lane, off of Deer Meadow Boulevard. Those 22 houses have no through traffic. It's all local traffic. So they don't see what we go through. With that gate closed, it pushes all the traffic down one side. And it's not designed that way. It's not a cul-de-sac. It's a dead end, made for progress. That's why the name's still Deer Meadow Boulevard. I want to know what makes their kids and their grandkids more important than mine. Because they're right. Something's gonna happen one day. And I don't think it's funny. I really don't. I think this is a serious situation. And I think both subdivisions, we're supposed to be unified as a subdivision. So we should share that traffic because their kids are important and our kids are important. There's kids that go play at our park. Matter of fact, they were there this weekend. There was 4 kids from Deer Meadow Boulevard or from Deer Meadows playing at our park. We didn't kick them out. I want them there because that's what communities do. Communities share what we have so our kids can be safe. There's people from Deer Meadows walking in Page Place using our sidewalks. There's people from Page Place walking to Deer Meadows. And the amazing thing to me is that Doe Lane South are the only houses that benefit from that gate. Doe Lane North going to Fairfield, they endure as much traffic as we do. So this is only selectively helping a very few amount of houses. Speeding in the raceway, that's all I hear. Oh, the speeding cars. I'm pretty sure the chief of police will give tickets for speeding cars, right? Public dollars, tax dollars. If there's a pothole on Deer Meadow Boulevard on the Deer Meadow side of the gate or the Page Place side of the gate, it's tax dollars. Our tax dollars are gonna fix it, right? It's a public road, public. There's private communities in Broussard. If you want a gate, go live in them. Our neighborhoods are conjoined for a reason. Doesn't matter, sir. The gate needs to come down, guys. This gate wasn't there, so it shouldn't have been there in the first place. We are a unified community, and that's what we push. And that's what it should be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toby. That was the last of the public comment that I have cards for. Tina, do you agree?
No other comments.
The floor is open for council discussion.
I'll go ahead and start if that's okay. Thank you for everybody that came out. The passion and involvement in this room is what makes it an honor to serve as councilman since 2019. My personal home is located on a thoroughfare. We have hundreds of cars that pass there daily. So if you go to Meshes or New News and you see the kids selling lemonade on the corner, that's my kids. So I have sympathy with those that are opposed to this due to the traffic. However, 2 wrongs do not make a right. I cannot attest or speak on behalf of the previous council and legal opinion and administration that passed this. But like I said, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And at the end of the day, you cannot have a gate on a public road. Therefore, my vote is going to be to remove the gate.
Chief Vance, what is the time frame when someone is going into cardiac arrest to save them?
I'm not a paramedic or in that I really can't answer that question. I don't have an answer for you. Maybe chief of the fire department would better be suited to answer that question for you.
Yeah, come on up, Brian.
To answer your question, minutes count, seconds count. The faster we can get to a resident and start administering basic life support is what we provide. Acadian comes in behind us with advanced life support. So the faster we can start basic and the faster they can get to us to transfer basic into advanced, the better chance of that person surviving.
So stopping to punch some numbers is probably.
It's not a good idea. From the scenarios that happened, we've had to free a person from a scene, go to the gate, get the ambulance, and make them follow us into the subdivision. So we've had to stop, release one person, free them to go to the gate because we found out because of delayed response that they were stuck at the gate. So we've had to free somebody, free a truck, go to the gate, get them, and follow them back in. That did happen on Brianna with a cardiac arrest. It also happened towards the back of the subdivision. So those are facts. and that's what I'm here to provide.
But you have made calls to gated communities before where you've had to wait for a gate to open, correct?
Yes, we have,
And-
so the,
I understand that. I'm asking about a gate. All I'm asking about is a gate.
so most of the gated communities, we have access to. It's a speedy access. We can get in and out very quickly. And the ambulance seems to not have an issue getting through those gates, as we have an issue in getting through this one.
And Toby, the reason I'm asking about it is because 10, 15 years ago, it was approved to have an electric gate put there and it never happened. So that's the only reason I was not part of that council. And I'm only going off of what I've read and, okay.
Well, that council made their decision based on a lot against Clifford Fire.
Sir,
Correct.
please.
So
Because
now-
the fire chief is addressing the council. This is not a conversation between an entire audience and the council. We would take public comment at the podium.
Mayor, I want to point something out. One of the gentlemen brought up, there's plenty of neighborhoods that have gates. That is true. Those are all private streets. So I think the confusion here is we don't typically ever put a gate across a public road. And so when 911 is dispatching, and the chiefs understand this system better than me, they see Deer Meadow Boulevard as a public road. Nobody has the expectation that there's going to be a gate in the middle of it. That's the confusion. If they're going to Le Triomphe, they know it's a private, I'm going to get to a gate. They know how to deal with it. This is a unicorn. We don't have this.
So, but the main problem here is that there's only one exit out of phase 3. That's never gonna be able to change unless the gate comes down. That's where it all lies. There was no other place to come out with any kind of exit or stub street or whatever in phase 3. So that just having the one, so if we, let's say, okay, donate the land and then Deer Meadow owns it, well, that still doesn't fix the problem of, well, there's only one exit for phase 3.
Well, I think
you know?
if you went through all that, what you would have to do is rename the street after the gate to something else. That's what's causing the confusion with 911. Because you just don't, you can't, it's prohibited in our subdivision regulations to directly extend a public street into a private street for this very reason. This is not the first time people have encountered this, so it's covered in our regulations. And, y'all have said it, what happened before. But that's what's causing the problem with emergency response, in my opinion.
Okay. I would think, and let's say the gate comes down, I would think we could have, law enforcement help out, with the speeders in Deer Meadow by making a stronger presence. Vance, if you want to maybe speak on that.
We'd be more than happy if the gate came down. Realistically, we could put the traffic data collector out, and I did speak to Mr. Butte today about it, and I gave him, it's not what he needed, I guess, at the time, but we do have the numbers if you want to see them. I mean, they had, this is 3 years ago. There was like 2,227 cars that passed over a 3-day period. In that 3-day period, I think there was really like 29 of them that were really exceeding the speed limit in that time frame. And it's kind of broken down into some more specifics, and if you want to see the data, you can. And I think if we got to that point, we would definitely, if more traffic's going through, we can put the traffic data collector back up there and look at the numbers, and we'll put enforcement out there for them.
Okay. But other than that, I just want all of you to know, Page Place, Deer Meadow, I'm in a tight spot here, and I support all of you as District 5. So I just want to thank you all for voicing all of your opinions and telling your stories, and we'll move forward. So
I'd like to also reiterate and just remind the council of the item at hand that we're voting on. We're talking about the gate. This does not prohibit us from bringing up conversations on how we can mitigate traffic and other safety issues whether it be speed bumps, whether it be stop signs, whether it be sidewalks. So that can all come back before the council to address your concerns. So the item at hand is a gate on a public road. So I just want to remind the council that's what we're discussing.
Ms. Pam, we're still in council discussion. I'm sorry. Council comments?
I'd like to make a suggestion here. As you all know, there's no wrong, either way we go, right, left, straight, forward, down, keep it up, somebody's not gonna be happy. I agree with Councilman Reagan on the road, on the law. It's not about who wants it up, how long ago, 2015, we wasn't here. We didn't sit here to make that decision. 2015, if I sat here to make that decision, you wouldn't have a gate because makes no sense to have a gate on a public road. If the design was said different with a cul-de-sac where we wouldn't have no question, but it's not. We blame the developer, we blame everybody, but without developers, we're not where we are today. The city's not where it's at. So we could point the finger at everyone and go back and forth. My recommendation to the council is to take the gate down, do the traffic get with the chief to put the strips, monitor for 7 to 10 days. After that, look at it. If there are speeders, we can take the data and then we look at putting stop signs. I drove the road today and there's plenty of room to put 3-way stop signs. I brought this up before, about a year ago. We had another subdivision, and the reason I'm saying is because I thought the same thing is happening here tonight. Why don't we just put a gate, and it'd be an emergency gate to go into a public road? And I was told by Lafayette Consolidated Government, we not allow it. So they won't allow it, and we sat here in 2015 and allowed it. And like I said, we're not pointing the finger at nobody, but it's what happened. Moving forward, there are people with concerns, and everybody has it. I have mother-in-law on one side and kids on the other side, and I heard the comments that, this is a locked deal. This is not a locked deal. It would make sense. I was elected to serve the people of Broussard, and I see all of y'all in here. Y'all all people of Broussard. So I want to do what's best for the people. And like I said, there's no wrong. Either way we go, we're in a position that we're going to be, Facebook's going to kill us or it's going to make us happy. But the decision is made based on the law and based on, we could fix traffic. I heard the concern about sidewalks. There's no sidewalks. I'd rather spend $250,000 start putting a sidewalk and keep that gate and have somebody's child die or somebody's loved one die. So I'm willing to spend $250,000 to put a sidewalk. We gotta do one thing at a time. We're sitting here tonight discussing it, and we're making suggestions, and we're gonna take the gate down if they decide to. But my recommendation to our council is to look at the traffic study that we're gonna perform in-house, and then proceed with, spoke to the mayor today in regards to sidewalks. And we'll get a budget set, and we'll amend the budget to keep the safety for both sides and make it a community that we can walk and enjoy ourselves. Yep. Sir, the veteran, you want to walk and not run out the ditch, we're going to try to help you do that. We're going to put sidewalks. Right. But the gate needs to come down because of safety and the law. So that's where I stand. And y'all can vote how y'all like. But my recommendation is the following I just mentioned. And I'm hoping everybody will agree. Thank y'all.
The item on the agenda is listed for the council to make a determination. So the lack of a motion to move forward means things stay the same, and the city administration would have to look for ways to make things safer. We heard about, the challenges of opening the gate during an emergency. If a council person wants to move forward in another direction, as in removing the gate, we will need a motion, a second, and a full vote of the council.
I make a motion to remove the gate.
Second.
No public comments.
We've had public commenting.
I
Thank you.
mean, no more after this one. Sorry. I need a question.
Question.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 6,
Yay.
at large,
Yay.
District 1, yes. District 2,
Yes.
District 3.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Get on the sidewalk, boy.
Please, we're gonna move on to the next item. Thank you all who are here tonight and took their time to comment on this item. Ordinances for adoption, item 4.1, ordinance number 23-767, an ordinance amending the 2022-2023 budget of revenues and expenditures by $225,000 for Lake Talon Road water wells. Do we have a motion to adopt?
I move.
Second.
This item was on the last agenda as an introductory item. Tina, do we have public comment on this item?
No public comments.
Council discussion.
Question.
Question.
District 5,
Yes.
District 6,
Yay.
at large,
Yay.
District 1, yes. District 2,
Yes.
District 3.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Yes.
Jump in there. That was the last item on the agenda. Thank you all for being here tonight. Please drive safely. Meeting adjourned.